Hello, welcome to Quackalope, thank you for being here. Today I'm bringing you a Kickstarter preview of the brand new game in the Spire's End universe, Rangitaki, coming on the heels of Hildegard and the game by, well, the name, Spire's End, a few years back. Now, if you have any familiarity with the Spire's End universe, you'll know that these are accessible, story-driven, choose-your-own-adventure solo games or multiplayer games if you like sitting next to a friend and journeying through a story together. They have a lot of interesting mechanics when it comes to how you mitigate stats, manipulate dice, and gain powers and abilities as you play, and are well known for their branching narrative storylines, beautiful artwork, and compelling side quests or side adventures. As you journey through the 3 chapters in the core game, you'll find that you're passing by more cards than you'd like to admit. They encourage replayability, always leave the door open for new exploration, and tie back into one another in exciting and unique ways. I've been a fan of the original Spire's End since it was first a, well, pet project, an indie game published by an amazing artist and illustrator out in California, and I have been thrilled to be one of the channels that have been able to feature, showcase, and shout about this project throughout the years. The art drew me in originally, but then the narrative, the storyline, and the unique mechanics, the way that each game feels, is what's kept me in the door. So, today I'm going to give you a quick overview of what exactly Rangitaki is. I'm going to talk about how it's different from some of the other games in case you've played those before, and the core mechanics that make it stand out. This is a sponsored preview video in collaboration with Favreau Games, but we do have 2 gameplay videos coming here to the Quackalope channel that we did entirely on our own. One, because I wanted to show off the product and give you a little bit more insight into how the game plays. I always find that having a preview, especially a sponsored one, is best paired with a gameplay that lets you judge for yourself if the game seems like something you and your game group, or in this case, you and your best friend, or just you, would play. But the second gameplay is there because I turned to Mike, who I was playing it with, and said, "Hey man, I gotta mail out the prototype tomorrow, and I kinda wanna see more of the story. You wanna do a second one?" And he was down. So we will have 2 gameplays here on the channel. So let's talk about the core, the heart and soul of what Spire's End as a game system is. The original Spire's End was a few heroes that had some complex movesets, each varying in their abilities, that went through a tower. They dove into a spire and found various different cryptic answers, solutions, questions, resources, and endgame triggers as they played. Reminiscent of your old school choose-your-own-adventure chapter books, the end of the path could be around any corner if you make, well, poor decisions. In this game, and in Hildegard, the one that came previously, we're going to be taking one of the many narrative heroes from the original Spire's End and looking a little bit more at their backstory. Here we're going to be playing as Ringlet Hockey, set in an island paradise. She is thrust into the middle of a war. A volcanic eruption has thrown the entire political system off balance, and her tribe mates have reduced themselves to some dark, cryptic magic in order to stay alive and have a fighting chance. We jump into the story with her finishing the ceremony to, well, imbue herself with some special powers and abilities, along with a, interesting little necklace that she carries along with her. And we begin the adventure being hunted by a few tribes who would like to see all of us exterminated. Most of our family and friends have already fled the island that we're on, and we're now making haste to do just the same. We start by exploring through a deck of cards. In each of these games, but this game specifically, you're going to have 3 full chapters with various narrative through lines throughout them. Depending on how you traverse from one chapter to another will introduce new mechanics, new abilities and keywords that you have, and new ways of approaching and triggering various different endgame scenarios. In all the Spire's End, this deck of cards is one of the core features. You're flipping a card, reading through a lot of very well-written flavor text, seeing beautiful artwork, and then potentially making a decision, triggering a challenge where you'll roll a die and manipulate that with some of your special abilities or talents that you've acquired, and or face a showdown. In the original Spire's End, there was a more complex dice and resource mechanic to fight off creatures. In Hildegard, you were using a slingshot, hitting and making sure you could connect bullseyes to hit the target that you were aiming at. Here in Rangitaki, you're going to be using a dart gun, a little bit of a ranged weapon, and you're going to have a battle map that you're going to be fighting on. This is where the game starts to differ significantly from the others. There's actually going to be positioning, movement, and, well, areas of concern. Each of your enemies will spawn out here onto the board, and they'll have special keywords, traits, and abilities, along with some having specific endgame scenarios or bonuses that you'll get when you face off against them. When you defeat Nalu here, you have the chance to have a challenge. If you succeed that challenge after defeating him, you then will get a resource. I don't know what that resource is because, well, I haven't succeeded at collecting it yet, but I know it's there and I'm very theoretically excited about it. Usually your showdown will last for a number of rounds, and then at the end of the showdown, you'll progress depending on how well you did, whether you defeated the enemies, protected certain areas of focus, or just survived. Sometimes just surviving is enough to continue moving forward. The core attack and manipulation abilities, whereas in the past games you've had dice and resources, you've had bullseyes, here we're going to have our stamina points, or our pool of resource, where that's going to reset every single round, every single turn, and we will be able to spend those on different abilities that we have. Moving around the board, manipulating other people's dice result to try to make it so they miss or have a better chance at missing, or so that we can potentially crit, dealing more damage. We can do a dart shot, we can do a lob shot where we fire it over an enemy or an obstacle to hit someone in the back. We can also use some other special abilities that you'll acquire during the game. For instance, we acquired the ability to stun our enemies, making it so they wouldn't move for a turn, letting us avoid some damage and kite around them to a degree. This battle mechanic differs a lot from the other games, and I think adds a lot of interesting decision space to the game design, from it being an actual map that they can add unique twists and turns to. If you watch some of the gameplays, you'll see what I'm saying. But not only that, it gives you as a player more agency over how you actually approach the playing field, how you move and survive and complete certain obstacles, whether or not you try to take out certain targets so that you can get a bonus or an advantage in later rounds. There's also a mechanic here where if you take out an enemy, like Mai Tai here, you'll gain resource from him, you'll gain extra stamina. And those tokens can be used to extend your turn, because you usually start with 7, I have 8 at the moment, and you'll use those until you deplete them, and then the enemies will go. If I took out Mai Tai, I would get 3 more, allowing me to extend the sequence of play, making interesting combinations and puzzles happen on the board in front of you. It's not as simple as rolling a dice and seeing what you get. Instead, mapping out and deciding how you move, when and where you attack, and how you use your resource to manipulate the abilities and the dice that you roll can really have a dramatic impact on your success or fail ratio as you play. So, let's go ahead and break down, in simple terms, how the game proceeds. We're going to start by flipping a little card here. And I'll read you the flavor text to give you a sense of what the game sounds like and the decisions that you'll have to make. Today, I was rushed into the home of seer Moakai. I've been here for hours now, watching her work. She waves an unsteady 4-fingered hand over a cauldron filled with a dark, swirling liquid. "It's ready," she says at last. Moakai opens her mouth and heaves. Her tongue curls out and over her lower lips as her throat bulges upward. The seer reaches into her mouth and pulls out a small knife, followed by a dripping cord of foul black ichor. She extends the knife to you. Finger or toe? Now, we have to make a decision. Are we going to refuse entirely, cut off our finger, or potentially cut off our toe? That's where the game begins. That's what introduces you to the powers that you're getting. From there, depending on what you choose, you'll flip to a corresponding card, either card 2, card 3, or card 4. So I'll show you card 2, card 3, or card 4. Don't look too much though, because if you look ahead in this deck, you will potentially go insane. As you play through and make decisions like this, you'll also come across challenges from time to time. Your challenges are going to look like, if I can find one simply here, like this. You see the word there, mental challenge 10. And if you fail, you'll have a consequence. A mental challenge is one of the 3 different types of challenges we have: physical, critical hit, and mental. We're going to roll a die, and if we get a 10 or better, we will succeed. I got a 15, so therefore I would succeed and move on with the succeed condition. So not everything is a straight up choice, A, B, or C. Instead, there are moments where you have to decide how you spend your resource, allowing you to manipulate the odds of your roll so that you can potentially not fail as often, because typically succeeding seems to be, well, the better option of the 2. The third type of encounter you might come across as you play the game is going to be a battle scenario. This is, again, what differs from the other games in a significant way, and I've already talked about how this mechanic works to some degree, but let me go ahead and walk you through how an actual attack sequence will work. I have Rangitaki here, and I am starting this battle sequence. I've placed out Nalu, I've placed out 2 more enemies randomly in the 12 different areas that are here, not including these 3 down here at the bottom, because that's where Rangitaki starts, and 2 locations next to her can't always be placed in. Not always can't be placed in, but can't always. Sometimes they're just not available. I'm probably going to start off this mission by targeting Mai Tai here. I get a little bit of a good advantage there, and Mai Tai hits adjacent zones for a power of 4. It has a move of 2, so he's going to be getting close to me quickly and hurting me a lot if I don't do some damage. I also have Tavita up here, who has a lob range of 3, meaning she can hit me from almost anywhere on the board, as long as she has the line of sight to me. And I have Nalu here, who can hit everything around him, but only for a damage of 2. So I think I'm going to move over by 1, spending 1 to move. Then I'm going to spend 3 to go ahead and do a dart shot. The dart shot is going to be a dice roll of a d20. I'm looking for a success, a critical hit of 20. But I have a modifier here, which is the knife that I collected along the way, which is going to give me a +1 to my critical hit stats. So I'm looking for a 19 or 20 as a critical hit. It's a 20 over 5, though, which all these other characters have this same corresponding number equation. A 5 and lower would be a miss. So I'm not looking for a miss at all. I rolled a 9. That's not going to be enough to give me a critical hit, but I will be able to do a single wound. And I'm going to follow up and do 1 more of those attacks with 3 more actions, hoping to take out the bird. That is a 4. That is a failure. I apparently am as good in this preview video as I was in the actual gameplay. Let's pretend for a moment that let's pretend I rolled a 1. Yeah, that's good dice. Work with me here, not a 4. Let's pretend I rolled an 11. Pretend I rolled an 11. I'm going to put 1 more damage here on Mai Tai. I'm going to move him off to the side because I've destroyed him. I'm going to go ahead and collect 3 stamina from that sequence of events. And this guy has Body Bomb. When you destroy him, he is going to explode, hurting everyone around him for 1 damage. But I am not adjacent to him. Instead, I am down here at a diagonal, so I will not take that damage. Now I have 4 more stamina, assuming I had that 8 instead of the 7. But now I have 4 more stamina. So the question is, what do I want to do now? I could move out of the way a little bit farther, trying to avoid Nalu as much as possible, which might be worthwhile. I could go ahead and take a pot shot at him before I do so, which I think would be fun. So I'm going to take a pot shot at Nalu, rolling a 9, dealing 1 damage, which is not much to be said for the 4 health that he has. And then I'm going to spend my last action to move here off to the side. Moving on over to our enemies, Nalu is going to go first. He's looking to hit anyone around him. He has a range, or a movement range, of 1 and a damage potential of 2. He's going to step over here. He's going to be able to attack me. Now, if I had any stamina left, I would be able to manipulate his roll, bringing his success level down, or his critical hit level down, but I don't. So, He's going to take a swing. 16 is not enough for a crit. He's a 20 over 1, but is enough for 2 damage. And then Tavita is going to look to get me into range. She can move 2, so she will do just that, moving straight down here. She is going to lob an attack at me, and hers is 20 over 2. So only a 2 and a 1 would be a fail, and she rolls a 7. A 7 is going to be a success, giving me 2 more damage, taking down my dice a little bit more. Now in this specific scenario, I only need to survive 3 rounds, but there is the objective of trying to defeat Nalu, because I could gain a bonus item. So I'm going to put my stamina back up here. I'm going to give myself the 7 that I should technically have for this early combat scenario, even though I don't like doing it. And I'm going to go ahead and take a few shots at him. I want to try to take him out. I have range right now, and it's going to take me 3 to do a dart shot. I'm going to go ahead and attack him. I rolled a 3, which means I'm not going to get it. Do we pretend again for a moment that I do? Yes, let's. Let's say that I got a critical hit there, and then I spent 3 more. A critical hit would have dealt 2 damage, because it's always +1 for a crit. And then I got 1 more opportunity to take him down. I do successfully take him down with a little bit of fancy finagling there, and I now have a physical challenge value of 9, meaning I'm looking to succeed on a 9 or more to overcome this challenge. If I do, I will get card 13. I don't know what card 13 is yet, so I want to discover it here with you, the audience. I roll a 4. I am maybe one of the worst at playing this game. Let's give that one more try. I roll a 1. All right, we're not looking at that card together, but if I had overcome that challenge, that ability, I would have potentially, theoretically, been able to see and collect something cool. You'll have to watch the gameplay to see if I get it in the second time we journey through this adventure. At the end of 3 rounds, I will have survived or not survived, and I will follow the card down there. So if you survive 3 rounds, reveal card 14 and begin moving through the game. Okay, so that's the general breakdown. That's the general overview of exactly what's happening here in Rangitaki. I'm very excited about it. Like I said, I think the malleable combat, I think the moving on the board adds a lot more fun, interesting complexity and min-max opportunities than some of the other games have and do. I think if you're a gamer who enjoys just a light, quick story moving through a world and an adventure, this still provides you that in spades. So if you like Spire's End already, if you like Hildegard already, you're going to like Rangitaki. However, if you always wanted something a touch more crunchy, something to give you a little bit more to play with while you journey through this choose-your-own-adventure story, then this one might be the one that you pay a little bit closer attention to. There you have it. There you go. That's all I have for you. Link, as always, will be in the top of the video description. Please swing over there and give this game a closer look. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. I'll see you next time, and over there on the Kickstarter page. Adios.